You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
All right, and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. It is the Friday Night Lights. It is the Bet Set Snap. We are back ready to roll here on a Friday night, getting ready to look at Week 2. Kevin, how we doing?
Doing good, man. I enjoyed watching CU just get the brakes beat off of them by Houston. So that kind of started my evening here off on the right foot. Other than that, interesting game last night, right? The Packers look good. My shares of Kraft were extremely happy last night. Jaden Reed going down. He's going to be out multiple weeks. We'll see if there's what that looks like, but it sounds like a collarbone. So,
and they've actually come out and said it is I believe it's a fractured collarbone.
Okay, so 10 weeks, 12 weeks maybe. So at the very end of the season, but you don't ever want to see a guy hurt. But in the case of the Green Bay Packer receiving room, it actually helps narrow that tree down just a little bit.
Right.
So for fantasy purposes, it might actually help clarify things for us. Nevertheless, the Commanders looked relatively human last night. Their defense struggled against the Jordan Love passing attack. Really struggled to cover the tight end. Josh Jacobs had himself a very solid performance. Over on the 18.5 carries for those of you who are tuning into the Tuesday night show. So Derek, good job. You called the over. Other than that, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward for the bounce back, right? We had a lot of first and second round players who did not quite perform up to task in week 1. So I'm looking forward to the bounce back here. Definitely some interesting matchups, but realistically, I just want my fantasy teams to perform a little bit better this week than they did last, and then we'll just continue to get a little bit better each week.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. The and another injury that may provide some clarity happened last night as well, right? Austin Eckler went down. The initial reports I saw was they're fearing an Achilles with that, which this may mean that it's JCM's ball game even earlier than what we were thinking there, right? So as I don't know that Chris Rodriguez really fills in for that Austin Eckler role. I think JCM really kind of becomes the guy there on that. But interesting, right? Like Washington last night certainly looked like they were just kind of ready to dink and dunk and take the slower approach. And like this wasn't the high octane offense that we saw most of last year, where they came up, they just put the gas pedal, put the foot to the pedal and the pedal to the metal and just went. They got there a little bit towards the when the game was starting to get out of reach or already out of reach, where we started seeing Jaden Daniels really start kind of flashing there a little bit. But I don't know what Kingsbury's game plan was really thinking with that one. Like it did not make sense to
me. I think they came in with one game plan and then they had to pivot. Like right. The Green Bay pass rush was legit, and it wasn't all Micah Parsons. Like it just was collectively. They did a good job not giving Daniels a way out of the pocket, and they were still finding ways to collapse said pockets rather quickly. Like he just did not have a whole bunch of time to throw downfield. And the throws that he was going downfield, he looked a little hurried and he was a little long on them, right? Like he never connected through 2 weeks, has not really connected on the deep ball yet. So plenty of season left. There'll be time to come from it. But I was telling Derek here before the show started, I'm getting increasingly frustrated with my Terry McLaurin shares already. For a guy that I really haven't been high on most of his career. I felt like I took him because he was kind of at the end of a tier, and I should have just pivoted and done something different. But nevertheless, here we are. So on to Sunday, and then a doubleheader Monday night. So we should have a nice full weekend full of games here.
Fair enough. Kevin, if it does make you feel any better, Terry McLaurin got off to a ridiculously slow start last year too, through the first 2 games. And then about week 3 really started to turn it on. So there's still hope. It's dwindling, but there's still hope.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe it does. I think I might just need to play at the roster, right? Like I have some running back room where I can pivot through, and we have to start 3 wide receivers, but I don't have to start Terry McLaurin in that spot, right? Like I can start J.K. Dobbins. If he has another strong game against the Colts this weekend, maybe I pull Dobbins off my bench, right? Same thing with Charbonnet. I have Charbonnet on my bench.
Right.
If he kind of cements himself as the alpha in Seattle, well, then I can kind of pull him off my bench, and I can play those in the flex spot and leave, the rest of my wide receivers alone. So I got a little bit of pivot room. Like, again, wide receiver and running back, I feel like I have overall depth. It's not elite depth, but it is good, serviceable pieces behind my starters. Tight end's really the one position that I'm just kind of pinned in. I mean, I'm waiting for some other folks to kind of pop on the waiver wire and hoping that guys start dropping their extra tight ends, and then I can look and see what I want to pick up.
Yeah, fair enough. Just to kind of I mentioned that Terry McLaurin got off to a slow start last year. He's off to a better start this year than he did last year. Just FYI, right? So
okay.
Last year, week 1, 2 receptions, 4 targets for 17 yards. Week 2, 6 receptions, 8 targets for 22 yards. This year, 2 receptions for 4 yards in week 1 for 27 yards. So he was 10 yards better in week 1 this year than last year, right? And then last night, 5 receptions, 9 targets for 48 yards. So 1 less reception, but about 26 more yards. So, I mean, he's off to a better start, even with that slow start this year that it was last year. So
it's just worrying me because freaking Debo is the one getting in the end zone, and I wasn't expecting the monster touchdown numbers, right? Like I was expecting 10. I was not expecting 13, 14, whatever he had last year. I was expecting some regression, but I was still thinking like 10. There's plenty of time to get there, like, so I'm not completely freaking out, but Debo getting into the end zone the first 2 weeks and Terry McLaurin, I think, not even sniffing a red zone target is just a little bit.
Fair enough. We do have a couple of questions and comments coming in here. Let's go ahead and hit these up, and we'll keep rocking and rolling here. Michael over on YouTube. My question is: do I keep Caleb Williams or drop him for more depth? The starters are Jaden Daniels, Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, Mbuka, Pickens, Ingram. That'd be Evan Ingram at tight end, Isaiah Pacheco. Bench is Dylan Sampson, Stephon Diggs, Ollie, Algier, Johnson, and Caleb. Okay.
I would feel okay about dropping Caleb Williams if you can get some receiver depth.
Right.
Like eventually, like you have 2 guys who are number 2s, and I don't love Pacheco. Like I'm not him splitting time with Kareem Hunt in week 1 and not playing. I think he played 1 third down or maybe no third downs in the first week of the season. Like Isaiah Pacheco scares me a little bit. So yes, I would drop Caleb Williams and just lean on Jaden Daniels, and then pick up. I'd probably pick up another receiver based off of what you have on your bench, because you can potentially flop Sampson out for Pacheco. Diggs is nice there. I think you're going to end up playing Diggs, maybe even him in the flex spot, but another receiver I don't think would hurt you too much, depending on what's out there, right? Again, I have no idea what's on your waiver wire. I have no idea what, kind of what everything's looking at, but when you have one of these top elite quarterbacks, you really don't need to worry about a second tight end until the week before your bye week. And then you start looking at matchups coming up, and you take your guy 2 weeks early.
Right.
But outside of that, you really don't need him. Like, he's just taking up space. If Jaden Daniels goes down, there's no one you're going to be able to pick up to really get those points week in and week out. So it doesn't matter whether it's Caleb Johnson, Jordan Love, Matt Stafford, and none of it really matters at that point. So unless someone gets crazy and drops Justin Fields, like that'd be the only backup guy that I would have. But after his week 1 performance, I think Fields is going to be sitting tight on the roster here for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think so. I would also look at potential, outside of that, right? Like you've got a bunch of running backs here as well, right? Very little depth at the wide receiver. Now, if you're playing more of a standard type of league, okay, fine. But if you're playing in a half point or a full point PPR, there's got to be some makeup and some overhauling this wide receiver room to really have a shot at competing here, right? Like 5 running backs on a roster that only has 13 spots to it. You've got 3 wide receivers. Yeah, like Mbuka and Pickens, Diggs, all of those are fine, but that's going to lead into the wide receiver position. I think losing you some weeks there, right? And I maybe you get enough room out of Jaden Daniels to help carry that, and maybe get enough out of both Kyron and Chase Brown, but it's a little bit tough there when you're looking at that.
Who was your first? I want to know who your first round pick was.
Right, like the only thing that I can see is, Jaden Daniels became the first round pick on that. Because Kyron in most leagues was going in the 2nd to 3rd. Chase Brown was right around that same deal in the 2nd to 3rd. I mean, unless this was he's drafting at the tail end of something like that and took Kyron and Chase.
I mean, maybe it doesn't look like the tail end of any first, second round turn that I had seen.
Me either, right? But I'm just that's the only thing that I can maybe think of is picking at like 11, 12 and took Kyron when Kyron and Chase for 1-2. But
is what it is. But yeah, so those are our thoughts. Yes, go feel free to drop Caleb Williams. Look for some wide receiver help, and then you can look for who's going to play in your bye week. You're going to start looking in week 10. Right. Washington has a week 12 bye week. You're going to start looking in week 10.
Right.
See who's there. And week 10 might be a tough one, right? So maybe week 9, because isn't week 10 one of those like death weeks?
Like a bye week again type of things?
Yeah.
It could
like be. It's 9 or 10, one or the other. If it's 9, then you're okay. You can probably wait because people will readjust after that. But if it is week 10, then all these teams have buys on it. I know there's quite a few that have week 10 buys. Maybe you look a week earlier, but for now, you got 5 weeks at least where you don't need Caleb Williams.
Right. The other thing too that you might look at, right? If I'd be looking to try and flip Juwan Johnson, right? 2 tight ends. I'm never a big fan of carrying 2 tight ends, especially when you've got like an Evan Ingram that there's going to be very few times throughout an entire season that I'd say, oh yes, swap Juwan Johnson over Evan Ingram, right? But maybe you can look at trying to
have like 11 targets though, didn't he?
He did. Juwan Johnson did have 11 targets, 76 yards in week 1. But that might be something that you could potentially try and flip and get a better wide receiver on that, or try and
yeah. Right. And what you're looking for with that Juwan Johnson, right? Or maybe Algier to the Bijan over if he has like Joshua Palmer, right? Like you're not trying to set the world on fire. You're trying to grab guys that haven't quite popped yet that have some value. I still think Joshua Palmer will do very well for the Buffalo Bills this year, and it'll give you a nice piece. It'll give you a pivot option. I think, let's see, what else is down and around that area here as we're looking at wide receivers. See if we can toss out a couple more.
I'm looking to see if Marquise Brown is still on the waiver wire and pick him up if he's there.
Yeah, you could take a flyer on like a Josh Downs, a Wan'Dale Robinson.
Michael Pittman wouldn't be a bad pickup either.
Yeah, if you could get Michael Pittman, I think that'd be great. Tough matchup this week against Denver, but if you could, flip one of those guys for Michael Pittman, you're
and that may be
sitting in tall cotton there, buddy. Honestly, a silent one that you could. It's probably on your waiver wire with your league size is Romeo Doubs.
Mm-hmm.
Romeo Doubs is the guy from Green Bay that no one pays attention to. He gets no
At
hype.
all.
He gets no hype, but all he does is just consistently put up 9 to 12 points.
And catches a lot of touchdowns along the way.
Yeah. Catches touchdowns, 9 to 12 points with Jaden Reed going down. Like, again, you're not going to get first round talent here, but you're looking for a piece that can assist. You're looking for something that can provide value if Mbuka or Pickens goes down to help navigate bye weeks, all these things. Romeo Doubs could do that. You could take a flyer on Keyshawn Butte and see if you want to try and grab a piece of that. Drake May did look his way quite often in week 1.
I don't know that I want both Butte and Diggs on the same.
And that's true. You probably don't want 2 Pats.
No.
So
yeah.
All right. Those are just some options.
And I think you've got some good options there. Binka chime in saying, "My guys, let's go." So, yeah, we threw this one out there as well, saying, "Guys, if y'all have questions, concerns, comments, go ahead and put them in the chat. Let's talk about them." All right, Mo Diesel over on the YouTubes. Looks like he's got some money round or some money line picks, and let me know how you feel. The Canelo, Lions, Bengals, 49ers. Again, right? Speculation. These are our opinions, not financial advice. All of that disclaimer stuff put in there. Okay. So what are your thoughts here on, I don't have anything on Canelo. I don't follow the fight game enough to provide an opinion other than I know who that is. Any thoughts on these picks that he's talking about?
The Niners ones is interesting, yes. Right? And I get it. They do have the right matchup, but no George Kittle, no Brock Purdy. I mean, the Niners one's interesting. I can believe in the Lions and Bengals. Canelo, I can believe that. So yeah, overall, I think it's fine. I think the Niners is probably the longest shot. Honestly, I think that's going to be the tightest game. And go from there. Although Detroit didn't look good against Green Bay, but Washington didn't look great against Green Bay either until the fourth quarter. So, maybe Green Bay's defense is just that good here to start the year. So, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not going to be spending multiple units on it, but I'd sure, why not? If you like the return on it, if the odds are in your favor, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean the odds aren't, and if you're doing them as a single line money line, like that's an interesting deal there, right? Because the Detroit's a minus 218, Cincinnati's a minus 225. The Niners are a minus 340 up against the Saints. So I mean that's one of those with those kind of returns you pretty much have to hit on all of those if you're otherwise you'll be losing some units there. But I don't mind those picks. They are certainly favored there. I'm in line with Kevin thinking that the Niners will have a close one, and them being without their quarterback and their really their offensive pass catching weapon and George Kittle makes me a little nervous. So take it for what it's worth. Ajiji over on YouTube asking, hold on to Jaden Higgins a while longer or add Tajay Spears to put in IR and add Braylon Allen for some running back depth. Thoughts or thanks, he says.
I don't think after week 1, I'm not convinced that Braylon Allen's going to be nearly the thorn in Breece Hall's side that he was last year. Things can obviously change, but I'm not convinced that after week one. Jaden Higgins, listen, I think that's a good stash. I just do. I think that Houston's going to need to throw the ball. Their run game is not going to be super explosive. Yes, their defense is good, but their offense isn't fluid enough that they're just going to be able to sit back and run the ball. So I like the Jaden Higgins thing or experiment. I'd keep him for a couple weeks. Tajay doesn't do a whole lot for me. He just gets injured. Right, Tony. We saw this last year. Tajay was supposed to be splitting with Tony Pollard, got hurt, never came to fruition. We heard the same thing in the offseason this year. Tajay gets hurt. Here we go. It's Tony Pollard again. Like, I'm not. I don't know if I want to waste that on Tajay, and I'm not a believer in Braylon Allen. So I'm hanging on to the rookie.
Right.
Let's see what he can provide. He has a clearer path to production than Braylon Allen does right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, Breece Hall with the way he came out and just looked, I think he silenced a lot of questions about what that split role is really going to look like in New York. And I haven't seen enough out of Tajay to warrant that when he comes back, Tony Pollard is suddenly going to cede enough of a workload to make that make sense. But yeah, rookies tend to take a little bit to pop. Like they take a little bit of right. The entire speed of the game drastically changes for these guys, and so realistically, if I'm drafting a rookie, I want to hold on to him through at least probably the first 4, maybe 5 weeks to really see what I've got there before I just kind of drop him and move on. Especially having spent okay draft capital on a guy like Jaden Higgins. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I don't think so.
All right. In a tight end premium league, flex Hawkinson, Fannin, or Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, right off the bat, is what my gut tells me, but I'm going to do some looking at this.
Tight end premium league.
How much of a premium? Are we talking like an extra half point, full point, right? Because Kevin and I play in some leagues where the tight end premium is the wide receivers get a half point and tight ends get another half point. So the tight ends are a full point PPR and versus wide receivers being a half point. Whereas we've been in some other leagues where the tight ends get another full, 1.5 to 2 points on top of what wide receivers get, which that can certainly sway that. So, let me know what that actual premium is there. But what other thoughts we got here? There it is, full point PPR. So the tight ends sound like they get another full point on top of wide receivers for PPR. Okay, that might change my opinion a little bit.
I think I'm going to lean Keenan Allen for this week. Monday night against the Raiders. I don't know. I just
Quentin Johnson, I believe, is out as well. So I think the Chargers. I thought I read something that he was out this week. So if that's the case, I do like Keenan Allen more so. The Harold Fannin, right? Like and Kevin and I touched on this a little bit on the Tuesday show about Fannin, and I was saying that I very much liked what I saw out of Fannin, and looked like every time I looked up on the telecast and all of that, like he was around, he was involved in the plays, like all of those things. But there's also a good chance that this is just last year's Isaiah Likely, right? Like not in a rush to put him in a starting lineup. I'm willing to sit on him, let him just kind of stew in my my bench there a little bit and really kind of see what I've got there. But when it comes to that and Hawkinson worries me a little bit after, kind of watching JJ McCarthy and the look like the NFL is a there's some speed to learn there. Oh no, my apologies. I saw that he comes off the injury report, not that he's not cleared. So my apologies. I messed that one up. Quentin Johnson is good to play.
Okay.
So that being the case, I've got to realistically, you've got to expect if you're going to put Hawkinson in there, you've got to expect him to catch 8 balls. I think versus Keenan Allen. I think he'll get. I think a very easy line for Keenan Allen would be 6 for 60, 6 for 70, and has a good potential to fall into the end zone. Hawkinson, I think you're probably closer to about 4 for
55.
Yeah, I was going to say 50, but I could see 55. And even with those point differentials, you're probably looking about the same. I think Keenan Allen has a better chance of getting into the end zone than either one of those. So I would still lean the Keenan Allen, but it is a little closer with that tight end premium.
Go son.
Alrighty. Michael saying that they had the 12th pick and took Kyron Williams and then Chase Brown at the turn. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Big fan. So kind of like we were calling it there, right? Could have seen the Kyron and Chase Brown at the turn. That makes some sense there now. Mike, our Philly OG Mike.
This is all fake news.
I know, but it's funny enough that I'm gonna bring it up here, right? So again, the Philly Mike having some fun here tonight, saying that Justin Jefferson's a Kansas City Chief. Just posted and started trying to say that Adam Schefter is the one claiming that. So,
is he looking at the right Adam Schefter account?
Yeah, I know that there's a an infamous one out there called Fake Schefter. So, I certainly haven't seen anything or heard anything about the.
Yeah, our phones you guys would be hearing our phones buzz through our desks.
Yes, as many things as we're tuned into, y'all would hear the phone vibrating to the point where it'd fall off the desk. So, but Billy Mike, I do appreciate the comments there and having fun. All right, Michael over on YouTube saying that they picked up Juwan Johnson because Ingram was hurt and now he's playing. Do I just drop one of my I think that's tight ends, and my wire is Juju Tesla. I'm not looking to drop Juwan Johnson for Juju. I would still stick with kind of what we were talking about earlier, and potentially even packaging all either Algier or Ollie with Juwan Johnson and seeing if you can't make a trade and upgrade at wide receiver there a little bit. I think that might be the best bet there. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I agree. Juju and Tesla don't quite do it for me.
No. Michael saying that they appreciate the opinion and the time there. Most welcome. Jelly of the month. Been a little while, Jelly. Welcome back in. Evening, boys. 4-point passing TD. Go with Knicks after the dud or Lawrence in a good matchup. They picked up Penix for future games and better matchups. Thoughts on a quarterback dilemma?
Man, I think how consensus has them back to back with the same projected point total. I'm gonna go Bo Nix. Indy's missing 2 or 3 secondary players going into this game. I don't think that they're going to be able to catch the Broncos sleeping like they did Miami, and the Broncos will actually be able to put some sort of offensive cohesion together. I think they learned, right? The Broncos were feeling themselves a little bit coming in, right? A lot of preseason hype. A lot of conversation that they were ready, and I think they're probably reading their press clippings just a little bit too much. Um, and it's always fortunate when you can get humbled in a victory. And really that's what happened with the Broncos. They got humbled, 4 turnovers, and came out on top. So my assumption is they had a really good week at practice, right? I could see Sean Payton just drilling ball security into everybody's hands or everybody's head, um,
And hands.
and hands, and they turn out. Yes, Trevor Lawrence's matchup is juicy at Cincinnati. I, at this point, trust Bo Nix more than I trust Trevor Lawrence. But if you have a strong feeling the other way, Jelly, don't be afraid to play Lawrence. I mean, like I said, they're side by side in the rankings. They basically have the identical point production projection. Um,
The
so
matchups are both about equally as favorable, like when you really
yes,
break that down.
yeah. So I don't think that you're going to be overly upset one way or the other. I just feel like every time we expect something out of Trevor Lawrence, he lets us down. Bo Nix, this is kind of like his first really like game. Like even as a rookie, he never quite looked like that. So I think he's going to rebound from it and be better this week.
Yeah, I think so too, right? And both of these teams, yes, both of these matchups, yeah, they actually both look pretty juicy to me. Like the matchup for for Trevor Lawrence versus Bo Nix doesn't sway me enough to be like, oh, yeah, the matchup's the determining factor. I think they're both kind of in the same vein in that aspect. I would also lean Bo Nix on this one. But again, I echo kind of Kevin's sentiments there that if you've got a good feeling or you feel like playing Lawrence and that's what you want to do, then yeah, I'm not gonna chastise anybody for that one because I think these guys are really close, and I think at the end of the day, you're talking back in QB2 on the weekend finish, right? Like this is going to be probably about a point, maybe 2 separate these guys out at the most. I think it's probably closer to that, to the point where it's a half point that's ultimately going to separate these guys out. And you're probably talking anywhere from QB 11 to QB 14, 15, right? Like that's the range for both of these guys this week. And so I'm not looking to really upset the apple cart on something like that. If you've got a feeling for one of those guys, play it. I'd personally lean Bo Nix. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
All righty. Sotober, over on YouTube. Welcome back in, Sotober. It's been a minute since we've seen you. Welcome back. Fannin or Pitts, flex one, Pollard, Odunze, DK, Pickens, or Sampson.
All right, so let's start at the tight end position.
A lot more Fannin questions tonight than I would have anticipated, but
freaking Fannin. I think Baltimore is going to be on a freaking mission, and Baltimore does not really give it up to the tight end. That's not where Baltimore gives it up. So I think Fannin is coming crashing down hard. I like Pitts this week. Like again, Mooney and Drake London are both expected to play,
but they're both banged up.
Like Kyle Pitts is the healthy pass catcher. We saw him appropriately involved last week. Knock on wood for the Kyle Pitts owners that does continue. Again, appropriately. He doesn't have to have 11 targets each week, but if he can get 7 targets a week, 5 out of 7 ain't bad because he does stretch the field. He does go a little bit deeper on his route concept. So, 5 out of 7 will get you, 60 to 70 yards. And then you're hoping he falls into the end zone. Like you can live with that. So Pitts this week for me. And then Pollard, Adunze, DK, Pickens, Sampson. All right, I'm going to tell you Sampson's out again. all things Baltimore. I'm really trying not to play any Cleveland Brown this week. I think Baltimore is frustrated, and typically after a loss like this, Baltimore does come back with a vengeance. So I'm really trying to not play any Cleveland Brown that I possibly can. So I'm going to eliminate Sampson right off the bat. So then Pollard, Adunze, DK, and Pickens. I want to lean DK, but I think they're right. I don't know. Against Seattle. They're home against Seattle, and we saw Ricky Pearsall do okay. Like, I'm not opposed to DK here at home. I'm just not. Like, Adunze is interesting. He did do pretty well this past week, so you could see that. So I think I'm going to fade Pollard since you have the option going up against the Rams. I think that Rams defensive front is better than what a lot of people are giving them credit for. So again, tough week because of the defense they're facing. So we're eliminated a step farther. Both running backs are out. I think Pickens has the easiest matchup going up against the Giants. Had some deep opportunities last week against the Eagles. One was PI, one that was over his head and he couldn't really catch, and the other one was arguably catchable. He tried to one-hand it and didn't come down with it, but he did see a red zone target with that. So Pickens is potential there. Dunze got in the end zone. I'm hemming and hawing about this a lot, Derek.
That's all right. I know which way I'd go. And
well, then if you're clear, go for it, because I'm still trying to jostle through this in my head. This is a hard decision for me.
No worries. So I'll go ahead and give mine, and if you got some other thoughts, hop in with it. So with the fan in the pits, 100% with on board with what Kevin just said there, right? Like I talked a little bit earlier, right? Like I really like the way Fannin showed up in week 1. I can't stress that enough. Like the way that every time I kind of looked up, he was in a play, he was involved. You really showed out. Very impressed by that. That being said, I want to see that this is more than an Isaiah likely week 1, 2024 type of deal, right? David Njoku still the premier tight end on that roster. I think David Njoku has a better week than Fannin does this week. But all of that to say, in the same vein, I don't know how much faith I want to put in the Cleveland Browns going up against a Baltimore defense and a Baltimore team that I think is going to just be out for a vengeance in this one. So I'm going to be fading Fannin. I'll be putting Pitts in my lineup in that particular case. When it comes to the flex with Pollard, Odunze, DK, Pickens, Sampson, similar thing with Sampson, right? I'm looking to fade that a little bit. Judkins has returned to practice. It sounds as though they're planning on playing Judkins this week. So my fear is that with Judkins, Sampson, and Ford all in there, that these guys are going to cannibalize each other, and we're going to see anywhere from 5 to 10 opportunities for each one of them in the game, right? Like, little worried about the workload on that one. So I want to see what that looks like. I also want to see what happens with Judkins and the league meeting that's scheduled for next week to see how that one plays out as well. Okay, Sampson out, leaving Odunze, DK, Pickens, and Pollard. Out of those guys, I lean the Pollard route on this one, right? And yes, 100% with you that the Rams have a good front on this one, and I think that they are better than a lot of people give them credit for. However, this is also one of those that I think when it's all said and done, that we're going to see Tony Pollard get probably 17 opportunities on the ground, maybe even more, right? Like I think we're going to see him probably tote the rock anywhere from 16 to 20 carries, I think is really the range, but I would lean, if you had to pinpoint me to the number, I'd put it at about 17 and a half, right? I think that you're still going to get some decent carries. So I'm thinking we're going to see Tony Pollard somewhere in the neighborhood of 17 carries for 70 to 80 yards. We're going to see him get another, 2 grabs through the air for another 15, 20 yards. and maybe get into the end zone, right? The end zone's the thing that I'm not that confident about. But on the flip side of that, I don't know that I'm going to see Odunze, DK, or Pickens go out there and put up a 6 for 60, 6 for 70 type of deal. I think DK might have the best opportunity to do that. I think Pickens may have one or two, a shot or two down the field, and it's one of those that if it connects type of thing, right? But I think for Pickens, we're probably 3 for 50. Maybe a touchdown. DK, I think you're probably more in that 6 for 70 range. And Odunze, I'm thinking we're probably in about the 4 for 45, 4 for 50 range is where I'm at with those guys. So all of that being said, I want the guy that's going to touch the ball about 20 times a game.
I think I'm leaning DK.
Okay.
Like I don't know that I disagree with that, right? There's really no one behind Pollard as far as workload, touch work. So as far as the running back position goes, I do think Pollard could do that. A lot of that to me, I think, comes down to game script, and I think the Rams are going to have are going to be up in that game, and they're going to turn and lean on Kyron after they get a lead. And I just don't know how. I think it might be tough for Pollard to get all those touches unless he starts really catching balls out of the backfield. I think I'm going to go with Pickens. I think that this
Pickens or DK?
Seattle game. What's that?
Pickens or DK?
Or sorry, DK. I'm going DK. Sorry.
Okay.
Pickens, I think you're right. A little boom bust until we see kind of some consistency in how he fits into this Cowboys offense. But I think I'm going DK. Still number one receiver on the team. Aaron Rodgers and him are finding chemistry, and he wasn't a ghost the first week, right? He just did not. He did not get one of the big plays that Aaron Rodgers broke loose and that they found. But I think Seattle traveling all the way to Pittsburgh. Generally, West Coast teams do struggle a little bit when they're going back that far east. So I'm gonna lean on Pittsburgh starting 2-0 here, and they're gonna need DK to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could very well see DK coming down, 5 for 70, 6 for 75, like something like that. Like, I think he'll have a very productive day, for sure. So I don't mind that pick either. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
All right.
Fumbled my way through that one enough.
All right. Jelly of the month saying thanks. The other league, they have Evan Ingram, who's back off of injury, or Fannin or Henry on the waiver wire. PPR might need some upside since they have weak running back with Henderson and Pollard. I would lean the Evan Ingram. And
I would too.
Yeah. And I've got Fannin and Evan Ingram in our home league, right? And I'm going to be starting Evan Ingram. I don't know that I want to drop somebody to go after Henry on the waiver wire. So, any other thoughts on the tight end side of this?
No, cosign.
Okay. Alrighty. Aiden over on YouTube asking, shall I trade Mike Evans and Kelsey for AJ Brown? They would get the AJ Brown side.
I guess what would you be doing at tight end without Travis Kelce?
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying Kelsey is the answer necessarily. I'm just curious. Like, the good thing about Mike Evans is pretty consistent, right? And he sees a ton of red zone targets. AJ Brown does not see as many red zone targets because of the tush push and having Saquon there and being able to do that. So on the surface, I'm really inclined to keep Mike Evans and Kelsey. Like, unless you have something very attractive that you can plug in that tight end spot, maybe you have Kelsey and Kyle Pitts. I mean, if that's the case, I don't know, maybe AJ Brown and Kyle Pitts versus Mike Evans and Travis Kelce. Like, you take the names away, the receivers basically cancel each other out. And yeah, Kelsey got into the end zone week 1, but he looked slow. Like, he just did. Like, he just looks like he's aging. He's not the guy he was 3, 4, 5 years ago. So I think, again, on the surface, I think I'd probably keep Evans and Kelsey, but my opinion might change depending on who else you have at tight end. And if they propose the trade to you, that means they're trying to unload AJ Brown. So I think you could counter with something less than. Like they're frustrated after the one catch performance.
Right. I would agree with that as well. On surface level, I want the Mike Evans and Travis Kelce side, right? One for the tight end position, but two, I kind of want to know who your other wide receiver is, right? If I've got a more bona fide wide receiver one than Mike Evans in there, okay, right? Like I might take the shot on AJ Brown, but I'm well on the record going into the season that AJ Brown was a guy that I wasn't looking to actively add to most of my rosters unless he was in there as a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 3 for my roster, just because of the fact of the boom bust potential, right? Like I want somebody more consistent than that to be my wide receiver 1. Or if you have a super reliable, consistent wide receiver 2, yeah, I could potentially see that playing out there. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'd rather have the Evans and Kelce trade. And I think Kevin's right. I would counter back with something, seeing if I couldn't get either something a little bit more on that one or give up a little bit less on that one. Kels over on YouTube, Joe Burrow or Justin Fields. Burrow cost me week 1 with the tear emoji. Thoughts on Joe Burrow or Justin Fields here, week 2?
I'm going Joe Burrow. I expect to bounce back, right? Like there's a lot of teams who had Jamar Chase or Joe Burrow that those are part of those guys, right? In the first couple rounds that had bad or less than week 1. That's not going to be the standard. Like you drafted Burrow in round 3, maybe round 4, for a reason. Probably round 4 for a reason. Like play him.
Yeah. As much as I think Justin Fields is going to have a good game here, right? Like the Jets are going to need him to have a good game to keep up with Buffalo. Like if the Jets have any chance of winning this one, they're going to have another 30-point performance. But the Joe Burrow versus Jacksonville matchup is too juicy. I think that one's going to be I think Joe Burrow is going to have that bounce back, and we're going to see Cincinnati, come to play here a little bit. So I do like the Joe Burrow side of things. Wesley, Hawk or Johnson? I would believe that's TJ Hawkinson or Juwan Johnson. Which one you playing this week?
I'm leaning 58-42 TJ Hawkinson.
It's a very specific split, but I like it, and I don't disagree. All right, moving on to cosign. Kels over on YouTube, Devontae Adams and Mbuka, Ricky Parasol, got to pick 2.
Adams and Mbuka.
Yeah, I don't have a differing opinion on that one. I would agree. I think Parasol has an okay game, but that's Brock Purdy not being there does worry me.
So here's what I'm trying to convince myself in, right? And I'm not changing this. I do think it's Adams and Mbuka. Mac Jones made Brian Thomas really good the back end of last year. Like Brian Thomas was having a solid rookie year. And then once Mac Jones started playing, like Jones just fed him. I think there's a world where we could see something similar with Jones and Pearsall. Different offensive philosophies. Christian McCaffrey is probably going to have 30 plus touches again. Like I am scared. I said this on Tuesday. If I'm a McCaffrey owner, I am scared. He's getting this much work this early in the season. See how it goes. But for this first week, I do think I want to see how Mac Jones truly looks as a San Francisco 49er. So I'm leading Adams and Mbuka in matchups where Mbuka's is going to be a little bit tougher. Like Houston does have a good secondary, but Baker finds a way.
It's very true. So I'm agreeing with the Adams and Mbuka as well. So Tober saying thanks, fellas, and Kels asking Jake Ferguson or Hunter Henry.
Henry probably has the better floor. Fergie probably has slightly higher upside.
Yeah, this is 6 of one, half dozen of another for me, right? Like these guys, I see them back to back, and you could coin flip it for me. So, I think ultimately, when it's all said and done, these guys finish within a half point of each other, and we're talking somebody that, a couple of guys that are flirting with back end tight end 1, top end tight end 2 range, right? Like range of outcome 11 through 16 for the week for both of them. So
to me, it's what's more likely. Well, like which team is more likely to just lean on the run. And for me, it's New England. I think New England will lean on the run between Stevenson and Henderson faster than Dallas will lean on the run. Even though Javonte played well, that's just not how Dallas operates, right? Dallas throws the ball. So to me, the more opportunities you have when your quarterback's dropping back, again, usage, right? Opportunity screams a little bit louder. I think Ferguson's going to have a little bit more. Hunter might have a higher target share. Like that's entirely possible. But I'm going to lean Fergie. But like Derek said, coin flip. I'm not going to hate on anybody if they want to play Hunter Henry over Jake Ferguson.
right. I'll also go Ferguson because he's at home, and Hunter Henry's on the road, right? Something about sleeping in your own bed can sometimes help. So there's their half point difference that I was talking about. There is the home bed.
There you go.
All right. Binkin chiming in. Welcome back in, Binkin. Saying hello, everyone. Got caught late doing something. No worries. You're here now. That's appreciate you being in. Alex saying, should I start Mahomes or Kyler this week? It's a good one.
I think I'm going Kyler against Carolina. I'm taking the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I expect Jalen Carter to play in this game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I do not think that we're going to see the same issue happen twice. And when Patrick Mahomes does struggle, much like all quarterbacks, he struggles when the pressure is right up the gut. And with Jalen Carter playing and presumably actually like getting through warmups and kickoff, I think Jalen Carter is going to be chasing Mahomes around quite a bit. Down Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy's doubtful. Travis Kelce looks a bit slow. This is going to be a battle for Kansas City. Like I'm interested to watch this game because I want to see Kansas City's game plan, but I would be playing Kyler. I just think the path to success is far easier against Carolina.
I'm also hoping that Kansas City starts 0-2, but that's a different conversation. I'm right there with you. I think that Kyler's the guy. This one is one when I get done with my own rankings, these guys are probably going to be pretty close grouped together. But I would lean Kyler, right? The Carolina matchup far more enticing than Patrick Mahomes against Philly. So leaning Kyler as well. Binkin chiming in asking Cedric Tillman or Zacchaeus if you had to pick 1.5 point PPR.
Tillman.
Yeah, I would agree.
And that one, for me, it's not even close. And I know I said bench your Browns earlier.
This is the exception.
Yeah, this is the exception. That's your choice. You're playing Tillman.
Yeah, I would agree. Right, Zacchaeus certainly had a more prominent role than I would have expected in week 1, but Tillman I think is the guy in that pick as well. Kels over on YouTube, JMO, Trey Benson, Tony Pollard, pick one in the flex.
Pollard.
Yes.
Volume.
Like I get Trey Benson had a little pop and a little flash on that, but that's still a like a 65-35 split between him and James Conner.
Right. And even if it closes the gap, right, and you start to look at, 55-45 or something like that, even if he closes the gap, he needs to fall into the end zone to make up for the lack of volume that he's going to see.
Right.
Tony Pollard's, like what we talked about earlier, Tajay's gone. Yes, Pollard has a tougher matchup, but if Tennessee can keep this game close, like they did against the Broncos, whether it's forcing turnovers or they're a little bit more efficient offensively, all that should speak well to Tony Pollard. Jamo's a nice upside play, right? Hit the deep ball, see what you can get going. But I kind of want to see one more week of what this Lions new offense looks like, because Green Bay was a tough test for week 1. And so I don't know that we got a true shake of what Detroit's going to look like, but I think I'd rather find out with Jamo being on my bench.
I would agree. Binkin saying that they would lean Jamo, but they think that Benson might sneak in to the end zone. Yeah, maybe. Again, right, even with even with Benson, James Conner's still getting the passing work. Jamo, I'm with you, right? Jamo's going to be a big play, boom, bust. Like Tony Pollard's going to have the volume, right? Earlier in the show, I said I think that Pollard's going to see around 20 touches in this game. I think Jamo might see five targets, and I think Benson might get up to 10 opportunities in that game. So taking the guy that's going to just have the ball in his hands, I think a lot. Jay over on YouTube, welcome in, Jay. What up, good old boys? In a pickle, Mahomes or Dak? This is why I drafted both for a reason. And do you play Worthy? If he wears the brace, I think he would be on a time count.
This week I'm playing Dak. I'm not saying Philly was looking past the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys really opened Philly's eyes to some things defensively. They know that this is a big game against Kansas City. They know it's a Super Bowl rematch. They know that they could see each other again. I'm playing Dak this week against the Giants. Dak traditionally plays well against them. And I think the overall flow, Dak should have more opportunity for success against New York than what Patrick is going to have against Philly. That Philly defense is they're tough, right? They're young, they're eager, big time pass rush. So Mahomes, I think, is really going to struggle here.
And if Kansas City can't get their any semblance of a run game going, that is not going to bode well. If they become one dimensional and the pass rushers for Philly can just pin their ears back and go, like, no thanks. That being said, too, I would also lean Dak. The Giants, I think that they're going to get I'm going to take, kind of similar thought. Their path of least resistance, right? I'm going to take the guy that I think is going to end up having a bigger game through the fact that the opponent's not as good versus the guy that's going to have to try and will a team to victory and get it done all on his arm. And again, very worried about what that is going to look like. As far as Worthy goes, I'm kind of well on the record. I'm not necessarily a big fan of putting Worthy in any of my fantasy rosters. And I think I might have a couple of shares of him in best ball, but for redraft, I have zero Xavier Worthy on any of my redraft rosters.
Yeah, I don't see Worthy going. Yes, Kansas City wants this game, but they still have 5 more games without Rashee Rice. Like, give Worthy the week if his shoulder truly needs the week, because this game will not break your season. Like, Kansas City is still more than capable of rattling off 8 or 9 consecutive wins, even if they drop this game, and we're going to forget about their slow start. They know what it takes to get into the playoffs. They know what it takes to win in the playoffs. They are not hyper concerned with the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, much like the old Patriot teams were, right? The best time when Belichick and Brady were together, the best time to see the Patriots were in the first 4 weeks because they were tinkering. They were just kind of seeing things out. They treated it like their preseason, right? Everybody was getting into shape doing that. And then they turned it on. And after week 4, it became really tough. Kansas City kind of reminds me of that, at least stylistically. We're going to go out there and we're going to fight like hell for the first few weeks, and we're going to give teams a bunch of different looks, and we're going to see what our team does well, and then we're going to self-scout, and we're going to hone in on what our strengths are, and we're just going to keep clamping down as the season goes on. So I think I'm going to pass on Worthy this week. One bad play and he's out again.
Yeah, I would agree. Even if he plays the whole game, even if he's not on a pitch count, I see the ceiling for Worthy at 4, maybe 5 points for fantasy. Like, I'm not seeing this one at all. So
you think it's that low?
Oh yes. I would be pivoting to just about anybody else. Like,
you're a little bit more down on him than I am. I don't see it being that low, but I don't see him getting more than 10.
I think it's a struggle for him to get to 5, even in a half-point PPR, right? Full point PPR, okay, you might get there a little bit easier, but honestly, I think this line, think about that for a second. I'm thinking that line may be somewhere in the neighborhood of, like, on the ceiling play, I think the line is somewhere around 2 receptions for 30 yards. And maybe they try and do a sweep around the end with him. He gets maybe another 10 yards that way. Like, that, I think, is the extent of what you may be able to get out of Xavier Worthy this week. And I don't even, like, 5 might be generous with that stat line I just provided.
Fair enough.
So anyway, that's my thought on it. Bacon is asking, is the Fannin hype here to stay? We have seen teams produce multiple tight ends like Andrews and Likely. What are you guys' opinion on Fannin right now? I'll let you go first.
I'm not buying this hype. I just think he flashed. I think he had some really good opportunity. He capitalized on it. I'm just not a believer. Here's the thing. Full transparency. I am in a really bad space in our home league at tight end, right? I waited, got sniped, waited, got sniped, waited, got sniped. And so I just kept pushing tight end down the board. I'm starting Brenton Strange as my every week tight end in the home league because there are no better options. Fannin was on the waiver wire. I put a $1 bid on him. Like, I was going to keep everybody honest. Derek ended up winning it, but I'm not bent out of shape about losing that out either. Like, I don't think Cleveland's going to be powerful enough offensively to justify Jerry Jeudy, get Cedric Tillman his. Now you have 3 running backs in the mix, like, David Njoku, Joe Flacco has traditionally, like, thought after and targeted him very well. It was 1 week, and I think they were trying to catch the Bengals sleeping a little bit, show them something different. Now it's on tape, right? Now Fannin's on tape. Good young prospect? Yeah, possibly. Great dynasty stash? Heck yeah, especially, tight ends are hard to come by, especially in dynasty. So yeah, it's a dynasty stash. Redraft, I am not buying it.
Fair enough. As you mentioned there, I did put a bid on him. Do have him on my roster now. This is one of those that I picked him up more as a stash on this one because I think there is the potential there. I want to see how this thing plays out. I'm not looking to necessarily start him this week, and I won't be starting him this week, right? I'm going to start Evan Ingram over Fannin in the home league, but I think this week might be a little bit tough because they're going up against Baltimore. I think Baltimore has a lot to prove, right? As we've already discussed this one earlier. But week 3, I want to see what it looks like after week 3. If yeah, if we see a good kind of showing, we see a solid snap share usage in this, right? Like, and I would see okay usage if he gets 4 or 5 targets here in week 2, right? Like I would be okay with that. And then if we see another good outing here in week 3 where you see 6, 7 targets, okay, I think the hype's a little bit more real on that, and I'm willing to play the waiting game at this point to see what that looks like. But I think this is one of those that we're still very much in a wait and see with Fan, and that's where I'm at on that. Binkin. Any other thoughts on that one?
Nah.
All right. Jason over on YouTube, start 1. It's a full point PPR. Nick Chubb, Jalen Warren, Pittman, probably Surtain on him. Maybe Surtain really doesn't trail. He sticks on one side of the field, so Indy can maneuver how they want around that. But and then Jalen Waddle. So Nick Chubb, Jalen Warren, Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle, full point PPR. Which way you leaning?
My gut reaction this week is Jalen Waddle, but I'm not like hyper sold on that. It'll probably be Pittman. It'll probably be Pittman in some garbage time. Like I could see him coming down with 6 or 7 balls by the time it's done with. That the Broncos get a lead, and then he, kind of chunks away in garbage time. Nick Chubb is filling the position, but for all my love of Nick Chubb, he did not look great in week 1. There was not a whole lot of room. The Texans' offensive line is probably the weakness of that team still. Jalen Warren's interesting, though. Like, Jalen Warren is interesting. We know that Pittsburgh's going to want to run the ball. We know that at the moment, he's kind of the lead dog in the clubhouse. I think that we've seen that Rodgers isn't afraid to check the ball down to him if need be. So Warren might be the play just on volume. Like, he's probably going to get the most productive touches out of anybody in that group. So based off of that, I think Jalen Warren might be your play this week.
Yeah, I would agree. Right. I think Nick Chubb is probably in an RB3 range. Jalen Warren, I think, can sneak up in back end RB2 range this week. Waddle, Pittman, I think, are kind of firmly in wide receiver 3, maybe even 4 territory this week. So all that being said, I think Jalen Warren has the best week of the 4. Jason asking start 2, full point PPR, Myers, Judy, Swift, and Pollard.
I'm going with the 2 running backs. I'm going Swift and Pollard. Volume play. I think the Chargers looked really good week 1 against Kansas City, so that does have me worried a little bit about Myers. We've already said numerous times we're really not wanting to start Browns this week if we can help it. I think you're in a good situation, Jason, where you can absolutely pivot off of that. So I would be starting Swift and Pollard. Both kind of have that entire backfield to themselves. They'll catch a couple balls out of the backfield to help out with that PPR aspect of it. You might even get one or maybe even both of them to fall in the end zone this week. So I'm leaning running backs.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that one. I think Jerry Judy, I think, is a back end wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 at best, kind of range there. I think Swift and Pollard, both of those guys can sneak inside of RB2 range. And Jacoby Myers, I think, is maybe outperforms Jerry Judy. But so if I'm ranking it in order, it's Pollard, Swift, Myers, then Judy. That would be how I'd start the end. Swift and Pollard would be the guys I'd be starting there. Kel's over on YouTube asking, how do y'all feel about Dante Thornton, hold or cut candidate?
A lot of it depends on what your options are. Like, what would you be cutting him for? Again, on paper, On paper, I'm not holding on to him. I think Stephon Diggs, as the healthier he gets and comes back, the more and more he's going to be kind of the guy as far as the lead pass catcher there in New England.
Thornton's with Las Vegas now.
Excuse me, Las Vegas. That's right. My apologies. Yeah. I don't think it changes my mind. Like going through that, you have Myers, Thornton is what, or him or Beck, like they're kind of fighting for that number 2 spot, right? Like then you still have Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. Like I know Gino kind of slung it around the yard week 1, and there's probably going to have to be quite a bit of that. But do you expect Gino to put up over 350 yards each week this season?
No.
Then I think you need him like 300 plus to have Thornton consistently relevant.
Right. Well,
is where I'm getting with that, I guess. So
I would, yeah.
You can hold him, right? If there's no one on the waiver wire, then don't just give him up.
Right.
Right. But if you can add a piece that's going to make your team better, yeah. Like I would absolutely cut a team where I don't have as much confidence in their offensive unit than hold on to them just for the sake of holding on to them. But the piece has to be right. Like if you're just going to take a stab at somebody, then keep Thornton around. He's one injury away from being really relevant.
Right. I mean, the kind of the ins and outs around Deontay Thornton are interesting, right? The things that I'm not a fan of is the fact that, 60% snap share, right? Not a big fan of that. 2 catches, 4 targets, not a big fan of that, right? Like he only saw about a 12% target share in week 1, and that's with the quarterback that dropped back, threw it all over the yard, and threw for 350 plus. The only real upside with that is the average depth of target was 20 plus yards down the field. Like that's, you're banking on moonshots and home run plays on that one, right? So there's going to be weeks that Deontay Thornton absolutely just explodes and has a big, massive blow up week, and wouldn't surprise me if we see him, at one point this season have a game where it goes for 200 or not 200. It goes for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? Like could absolutely see that. Problem is that's going to probably be on like 3 receptions. So it's one of those that he's worth holding on to. But he's also worth cutting. And it solely depends on what else is available and what you'd be adding there, right? If you're not adding somebody else that has upside or as good of upside, then I wouldn't be making that move. If I'm not adding somebody that I need to start right away, or gives me a very consistent, safe floor that I can plug in and could be a week in, week out flex option, then I'm not looking to move on from him, right? So those would be where I'd move on, right? I'm moving on for somebody that has just as much upside, potentially a little bit more volume, or I'm moving on for somebody that provides me a week in, week out flex candidate. Anyway, any other thoughts on that one?
No, sir.
All right. Bacon over on YouTube saying CMC didn't score week 1. He should this week. And if Parasol does well again, you got to think Mac Jones is in play in deeper leagues. But I don't know if 2 touchdowns for Mac Jones will be enough.
2 touchdowns and no turnovers. You got to figure if you think McCaffrey's getting in, one would assume he gets in on the ground. I don't hate it. Again, CMC, I haven't seen the line. I would set his over under on number of touches at like 27.5 for this game. And I still don't know that that's quite high enough. I really expect McCaffrey to have over 30 touches, just like he did in week 1. Kyle Shanahan is going to play the game and he's going to feed into his stars. It's no different, but McCaffrey's healthy and he's out there. That's the biggest star he has right now. Parasol will have some opportunities for sure. But I like CMC this week.
All right. Well, and 2 with this one here, right? They're going up against New Orleans, right? Like this is not New Orleans is not going to be a world beater by any means. Like, this is one of those that I see this one being more of a game where we just see Kyle Shanahan just think his way through the game. Meaning that they're not going to be taking big shots. They're not going to be, coming
As long
out
as
with.
they don't get up 28-3.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, I don't necessarily see this being they're going to come in and pull away like this. I think this is going to be one that's probably a little bit closer than a lot of people may think. And I think that this is going to be one of those that San Francisco is going to go in there, do just enough to get out, get out with a win. So that's where I'm at on this one. But yes, Mac Jones could be in play in deeper leagues, because if you're in deeper leagues, there's a chance that he's all that's available to try and start. And if you had Brock Purdy, you may have to pick him up and put him in. Miami defense looks small and can't tackle Hendy, so could pop this week in Binken's opinion.
Yeah, I think Henderson is a prime candidate to have a monster week for those reasons.
Right. Good evening, Mario over on YouTube. Good evening, fellas. What is your take on Parasol? Is it a hold and see or trade away?
I'm a hold and see guy. Like, I like Parasol coming into this season. I know that the Purdy injury could look like a setback. Kittle having a hamstring injury for Parasol, I think, is actually a plus. Juwan Jennings is still nicked up. Like, they got to throw the ball to somebody. Like, they got to move it through the air. No team in today's NFL is going to be able to win the game by only throwing it 9 times. So
Unless you're
Parasol's gonna
Bill
see his fair
Belichick
share
with
of
Mac
targets.
Jones.
Oh, in the windblown, yeah, whatever. That
Yes.
game was nuts. That game was nuts. But that was what, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, at this point, it's been a long time.
So maybe even longer than that. Yeah. So I like Parasol. I'm definitely holding on to him unless I get blown away by some offer. I'm gonna hold on to him and expect his growth to continue and his usage to go up as the season goes on.
I like it. Double J, would you rather start Lad McConkey or Ricky Parasol? Netflix. I'm not sure what the Netflix is about. Full point PPR. Also 49ers defense, Cowboys, or New England this week. I feel like you got to start Lad over Ricky.
Yeah. Starting Lad. And I'm starting the Niners defense.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, no cosign. Kels, how do you feel about Kayshon Boutte? Is he Drake May's wide receiver 1? No, he's not.
Stephon Diggs is the wide receiver 1. Boutte had a strong week. I think that we're gonna see him have solid weeks from here, going forward. But I think he's a flex play that you're hoping to pop in the best of situations. And until we get a few weeks in, I'm not predicting any consistency with Boutte. So a piece in a deeper league. If you got a shallow bench, though,
yeah,
like, depending on what's out there, I'm willing to give him up.
I would agree. Bacon saying it feels like Kansas City and Philly game will be a lower scoring and kind of meh.
Yeah, I could see it being 24-14.
Yeah. 17-14 like that. I do think that's going to be a lower scoring affair. I think we're going to see some defenses show up here and really kind of slug that out. Bacon asking Cedric Tillman or JMO.
Playing JMO this week. Shying away from Baltimore. So I'm gonna take my flyer on JMO and think he'll be able to get the job done against Chicago.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, a lot of that has to do with that Baltimore matchup, and I think they're going to be coming out trying to prove something. All right, so Binkin saying late show segment, low cost, low ownership, semi sleeper running back for large tournament in DFS.
I still like Kareem Hunt. Like, I know we talked about that on Tuesday. Like, I don't have a reason to step off of Kareem Hunt. So getting lower than that, I mean, Jordan Mason, Trey Benson, right? We talked about him earlier, right? If we think he's going to pop a little bit and go, like Trey Benson's there. So Benson, um, Kareem Hunt, Jordan Mason, somewhere in that realm. I think anything lower than that, and I'm really not in love with anything else around that area. So Jalen Warren, maybe.
Kyle Juszczyk.
No, jeez.
There you go.
That's like Jalen Warren might be, and again, I don't know what he's priced at. Jalen Warren might be there. Like he's just not a sexy name that gets thrown out.
Right. So, I mean, Juszczyk might be the throw that one out there because you might see him get a couple of grabs for 20 yards and a touchdown. Like,
Yeah.
But
if you're a believer that the Niners can go in and just shut down New Orleans, Brian Robinson Jr., right? You're going to have to wait until the fourth quarter. But we've seen it possible in years past, right? CMC does all of his work in the first 2.5 quarters, and then the backup comes in and gets RB2 numbers when he's only playing a quarter and a half. Like
Justice Hill,
low usage, Justice Hill.
I mean, that very well could be, right? Like if Baltimore comes in and just lays it down, you may very well see the fourth quarter be a Justice Hill type of show. I don't know that I've got any other real thoughts here on that. Maybe
here's one that'll make the fantasy football community's head explode. Najee Harris.
I was just gonna say that too.
Watch all the Amari and Hampton owners go, no.
But Najee could be a guy that we start seeing get ramped up here, and wouldn't surprise me to see that turn into a 50-50 split throughout the season on this one. So, all right, Jay Money saying that they agree on the Dak pick this week. Bingham saying Dak hasn't lost versus the Giants in like 13 straight games since his rookie season. It's an interesting stat. Didn't know that one offhand. Here you go, Kevin. This one from Kells over on YouTube. Bretton Strange or David Njoku?
Bretton Strange, because he's on my team.
So if both of them were on your team, are you shying away that much from the Browns and starting Bretton Strange? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All righty.
Matchup, right? Like that. Just give me the matchup right there. So
fair enough. Double J over on YouTube. Justin Fields is a great play this week, but I can't pick him up. No room on the bench. I'm going to run with Mayfield.
Oh yeah, run with Mayfield. That's fine.
Yeah, it's not a bad pickup there. I think it's saying to smash the under on Philly and KC.
Yeah, I can subscribe to that.
Yeah, it's okay. Pick 2: Breece Hall, James Cook, Chase Brown.
Breece Hall, Chase Brown.
Cosign. And Netflix says Double J says the Netflix from earlier was supposed to be flex.
Gotcha.
All right. Frizzle over on YouTube. Better stash Matthew Golden or Alec Alamora?
Golden. With this Jaden Reed injury, I want to see what changes for Green Bay in the passing game.
Correct.
I think Golden will get a shot, right? I do think that they're probably going to bring him along a little slow. They drafted him in the first round for a reason, but they did not need him to be like an immediate impact type receiver. Now that Jaden Reed has gone down, their need for Matthew Golden goes up a little bit. So, they'll get that play action working, right? Josh Jacobs is a beast, and the more that he's able to, try and churn out 4.5 to 5 yards a clip, you're going to see guys bring down safeties into the box. against the Packers, and then that's where Matthew Golden's going to shine.
Yeah, agreed. Michael, over on YouTube, do you think Scatabo will be fantasy relevant this season?
I think I'll have a couple games. I think he'll have a couple games where he's able to get in the end zone. I don't see him being a 12 to 15 touch guy. Like, I see him being a 6 to 7 touch guy. Maybe you creep up to 10 if you can get inside the red zone 3 times in one game. Like, again, the Giants running game is not necessarily something that sets the world on fire. I think that Jackson Dart, if he gets to play, might actually help Cam a little bit. But if all things are staying the way that they are right now, I would tell you, no, not really fantasy relevant. Best ball relevant for 1 or 2 weeks. That's it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think season long, you're looking at the end of the season. I think we look up and barring injury, right, on this and things play out kind of as they are. So barring injury, I think the ceiling for Cam Scatterbo is to maybe finish in tight end. I'm sorry, running back 4 territory. But I think it's going to take a little something for that to even happen. So I think that's kind of the ceiling is running back 4 territory. So I don't know that that's a stash, and I'm not necessarily looking to move him on any of my rosters anytime soon. Double J saying Fannin will be rostered 80% after next week. If he has another good game, maybe.
I'll take the under.
So, Binkin saying, sorry guys, brain is more DFS driven than anything else. Yeah. Millie Mills got pick 1 on my waivers, and my league mate dropped Kraft yesterday morning, and I picked up Fannin. Now I'm dropping Fannin and picking up Kraft. I think that's a smart move.
I would agree.
I'm getting corrected. It's Bink King, not Binkin. Okay, my apologies there, Bink King. By the way, it's Derek is spelled wrong. Just FYI. Sorry, I'm having fun here. All right. Terry, welcome back in, Terry. It's been a little while there. Full point PPR, pick 2, T, Kyron, Kyler. I'm sorry, T, Kyron, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams.
Kyron and are we going to go double Rams here? I think I'm leaning Higgins. I don't know that I want double Rams. I think I'm going Higgins against Jacksonville. So Kyler and T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen is definitely the odd man out in this group.
Yeah, I would agree. T does worry me a little bit. Just right. He's a little bit of a boom bust guy here. But I think we'll see a bounce back. So I would agree with you. I think it's probably a T and Kyron week. Mark over on YouTube. Someone dropped Ray Davis to waivers in the league. In their league, dropped DJ Giddens to pick him up as a better handcuff. I don't have JT as a running back.
I think I would do this. I'm sitting on Ray Davis in our home league. And again, I'm not a James Cook owner, but by the time I got that late in the draft, I wanted a young guy who does show a little bit of pop when he gets the ball in his hands. So I think I would do that for Ray Davis.
Yeah, he says that he doesn't have Cook either. Guess couldn't decide on keeping DJ or going Ray. I would lean the Ray side of things as well.
Yeah, higher octane offense, right? Like an offense that has more opportunity to score points than what we think the Colts are going to do consistently. So,
right. Well, not only higher scoring, but Ray Davis will actually get touches. I don't know how much I really think that DJ is going to see touches outside of a massive injury. So, Armando saying Swift, Monty, Rome, or Sharp. It's a two-part question here. Start 2 full point PPR.
I think I'm going Swift and Sharp. Swift and Sharp? Is that right? Now I'm going to pivot. I'm going Swift and Rome. I'm going to go double Bears.
Oh, really?
Double Bears. Seattle in Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is going to look better in week 2, getting what they actually think. Again, I believe the Jets threw a lot of stuff at Pittsburgh that they were not planning on. I think Pittsburgh expected the Jets to not be able to pass the ball as efficiently as they did, and it caused them some issues. And then by the time they corrected, things were opening up, and Brees had himself a really good game. Charbonnet is going to be splitting with Kenneth Walker. We still don't quite understand what that split looks like, so you absolutely need Charbonnet to fall into the end zone. Otherwise, his touch count, I don't think, gets you there on its own. So Swift has the whole backfield to himself. Roma Dunze, we saw Caleb Williams looking for him in the red zone, got a touchdown last week. I'm going to say that continues. So I'm playing both Bears.
Yeah. As much as I don't want to say that, I don't mind that pick. I also don't mind the Swift Monty play. Yeah, I'd probably lean the Odunze side as well. So, Bing King, there we go. Silly for the Millie saying Flacco, Sampson, Tillman, Stack. Binkin, I don't mind that on a contrarian type of play there, right? Like oftentimes if you're in tournament play like that, you're looking for plays that other folks aren't doing and aren't taking advantage of. And that there's a lot of folks that are leaning away from the Browns because of that matchup. So yeah, I don't mind taking a contrarian play on that one. I think that it could be interesting there, and certainly if you've got a lot of low ownership and low low rostership in those types of leagues, certainly can be a benefit there. Abreu over on YouTube saying it's a full point PPR flex pick one between Pollard, Henderson, Sampson, Benson, or Ricky Parasol. I'm out on the Sampson. I think, and out of that group, I would say Kevin's also probably out of the Sampson side of things as well. Henderson is a little bit interesting, right? Certainly could have some pop this week, but I would be looking at a running back that's not necessarily splitting time on that one. Same thing with Benson, right? Could have some pop, but not looking for a second, the second string guy in Arizona. So it really comes down to Pollard or Ricky Parasol for me. I lean the Pollard side of things. I do think that we're going to see probably around 20 opportunities in that game. Ricky Parasol, I think we probably maybe see about 5 receptions. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Thoughts on a flex with the pick one, Kevin?
All right. So I think Pollard has the safest floor. Henderson has the highest ceiling, and Parasol is kind of the blend of both. So depending on your matchup and what you're needing, if you're looking to play it safe, I think Pollard's your guy, right? Only show in town again. Yes, tough matchup against the Rams, but when you're the only show in town, you get plenty of opportunity. Henderson, we've seen him break some plays in the preseason. I think that this matchup here, they'll get right a little bit against Miami, who really had no interest in playing any lick of defense against the Colts in week 1. So I think you could see Henderson pop one off and go. And Parasol, again, if you're San Francisco, you do have to involve yourself with the forward pass. Like, just because Brock Purdy's out doesn't mean anything. Kyle Shanahan liked Mac Jones years ago when he was coming out in the draft. He's getting a guy that he liked. So I think that there's going to be some wrinkles in there they're able to work with. And when they're passing, I think Parasol and Christian McCaffrey are going to be the clear top 2 targets. So that's why I think he's the bridge. So if you need a big week and you feel like you're going to be chasing points, I think I'm playing Henderson and hoping he can bust it loose against Miami. If you're projected to win or think you're going to win comfortably based off of what you have compared to your opponent, I think I plug Pollard in just for the safe points. And, if you want to play that kind of in between mode, I think Parasol has a safe-ish floor with a potential high ceiling. But again, do you trust Mac Jones or not?
Fair enough. Alrighty. Millie over on YouTube saying that they couldn't dump K9 onto anyone this week, so they're stuck with him. But as soon as he has a boom week, I'm shipping him off quicker than Amazon Prime.
That's all right. That's all right. It's part of the trading, right? You got to find a partner.
Jay over on YouTube saying, wouldn't it be great to see Ray get 3 down workhorse for 6 games straight? I bet James Cook would be his backup after that. I don't know. James Cook has a nose for the end zone and has really developed into a good running back.
Yeah, Cook's a better running back than Ray Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Was in college, is in the pros. Like, Cook just sees the game. He's a bit more explosive. Again, 14 touchdowns or whatever he had. Yeah, 14 to 17, whatever the touchdown count was last year.
16.
We expect regression, but Buffalo will get Ray Davis involved, but it is the James Cook leading the way.
Right. Binking saying that they're loving seeing Benson's name pop up there.
Just another team with a split backfield.
Right. Millie Mill is saying that they almost had it done, though he asked K9 for ETN. I thought I was going to rob him blind. Was happy that he declined it until Thursday morning. Okay. So Binkin telling Millie to not panic. It's only week 1.
Yeah, it's just 1 week.
And then Binking saying, do you guys see ETN scoring another touchdown versus the Bengals?
I think so. I think the opportunity is going to be there. So again, you have no more Bigsby. He's in Philly returning kicks. And I know that they like Tootin, but I don't think they're ready to turn the reins over to him by any means. I think ETN, now that he's healthy, is going to be closer to the 23 version than the 24 version that we saw last year and we're so frustrated with. He may not be all the way to the 23 version, but you'll see more of that. Heck, I think we've already seen more of that than what we saw all of last year.
Right. So I like it. Binking saying, Millie, you could probably get Jaylen Warren for K9. They wouldn't do it, but that might be sneaky. And then Millie Mills responding back saying that they've already got Warren. So interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
Interesting enough.
Just sit tight on it. The Seattle running backs always find a way to get nicked up.
It's true. Millie saying that if ETN doesn't get in the end zone, then they think that Brian Thomas Jr. will. So could be, right?
Watch Travis Hunter goes off for 3 touchdowns and
I like that.
I've scratching their head.
I've got him starting in a few of my IDP leagues as my defensive back. So if he does that, that's a what they call a week winner in those leagues for sure. Mario over on YouTube, encouraging everybody to drop those likes. Appreciate that. Guys, if you're tuning in, does help out when folks smash that like button, hit that subscribe. Yeah, appreciate all the comments and the interaction. Jay over on YouTube saying a guy in my league who lost dropped Hampton for Javonte Williams. Your thoughts on that? Grabbed Hampton. I wouldn't have done it. That's one, by the way.
It's probably best. You would have had the dump button on me. Yes, please give me Amari and Hampton. Thank you.
So,
what a
yeah.
goober.
Yeah. Yeah. Millie's saying that he traded ETN for Warren before week 1 when Tank was still there. I probably wouldn't have done that, but I can see the thought on it. So Hunter lining up. So is Hunter lining up against Chase or Higgins? Give me the wide receiver.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Right. Jay over on YouTube. No offense, guys, but Trevor Lawrence has to go off before anybody else does. He's not wrong. If you're thinking that those wide receivers have got to go off,
though? He just needs a narrow target tree. 215 yards isn't going off, but if you can get Brian Thomas Jr. with 110 and Travis Hunter with 80, Strange picks up the rest of the piece. I don't know that Lawrence has to go off necessarily. He has to be good, but he doesn't have to be like Josh Allen go off status, or even what Geno did last week against the Patriots. Like Trevor Lawrence can have 240 yards passing, and you can still get 4 guys completely integrated into that offense without feeling like you're being gypped on fantasy points.
Yeah, I could see that.
I tell you need 2 touchdowns. Like that's what you need.
Right.
200 yards and 2 touchdowns. 3 out of those 4 guys are eaten.
Yeah, I could very easily see that come to play. I mean, this is one of those that you really so the line out there for Trevor Lawrence is often right now is kind of set at that like 245. Over, were you thinking more, over under on the 245? I would lean towards the under myself.
Right. Guess it's a believer of how do you think Cincinnati's really going to be able to jump on them?
Fair enough.
If Cincinnati can really jump on them and keep the pedal down, they're going to abandon the run. Like it's going to suck for your ETN shares, but Brian Thomas will still get fed. That again, the Cincinnati's defense is not good. Like so, a lot of games are just going to be point races. Like week 1, I think, was the anomaly as we look back between the Browns and the Bengals. This game, you could see at 27-21, even if the Bengals feel like they win comfortably.
Yeah, I could see that. This is this is a kind of that same old narrative. Cincinnati starts off slow weekend or year in, year out, it seems like, and suddenly all around week 7 or 8 they decide to turn it on. This could be one of those that if that continues to play out, this game could stay a little bit closer and that. But if Cincinnati decides that those days are behind them and they just come out swinging, that very well could change that. And yes, Trevor Lawrence could find his way to 3 bills at that point. So
I'd be impressed if he did that.
Yeah, fair enough. Bean King over on YouTube saying Herb Porter is out for Pittsburgh at the cornerback. Do you think that raises JSN at all for this week?
No, I think Jalen Ramsey's going to take care of JSN.
I would agree. Michael over on YouTube, do you guys think Kittle will give good fantasy value once he comes back?
I think he's going to have weeks.
Right.
Depends on how confident they are in that hamstring, right? I hate soft tissue injuries. Hate them, especially they don't ever heal, right? Even going on IR, it'll be better and he will play through it, but he will have that thing wrapped and he will be getting so much damn treatment that Kittle plays a physical brand of football and he is explosive for a tight end, but when you have a bad hammy, I mean, some of that can go out the window. So I don't think he's going to be the top 3 tight end that you drafted him to be, even once he comes back. I think he could still be top 12 for sure, right? Maybe top 10, but I just don't think he's going to be the top 3 guy once he gets back.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see him finish inside the top 10, but yeah, this I don't think that you're going to get that top 3 that you drafted him to do, especially missing that kind of time and concerns on when he returns there. But I think there's a chance that you could see him return some value when he comes back. And quite frankly, he's probably going to be better than most tight ends that you would fit in that position week in, week out in your alternatives. So, David, thoughts on this? David over on YouTube, thoughts on this trade? Gave up Jamar and Aaron Jones for Drake London and Jonathan Taylor.
I don't hate that. Yeah, you give it up on Jamar, but Drake's the clear one in Atlanta. Jonathan Taylor has nothing behind him, so you get out of a split backfield situation with Aaron Jones. So I think you balance out your points. You probably miss the highs that Jamar can give you, but I think your floor is higher in a combined total because you're not dealing with a split backfield like Aaron Jones has.
Yeah, I think what you lose from the Jamar to London side, you make up on the Jones to Taylor side. So I like it, and it's one of those you kind of split your roster a little bit, and you're gonna get probably more points in the aggregate for that. So I certainly don't mind that move. Jay saying that they think Lawrence is holding that team back. He's the most inconsistent quarterback. Mac Jones was better for that team and for Brian Thomas.
Well, last year, yes. This year, the jury for me is still out. Again, you're bringing in a new head coach, a new offensive philosophy. It worked in Tampa Bay, right? Yes, the teams are constructed slightly different, but if Cohen can, I don't know, we continue to pour into Baker, and we saw Baker resurrect himself there in Tampa Bay after kind of some bad shakes, really, for Baker. But I mean, that's why they brought Cohen into Jacksonville, as they're trying to make good on all the money that they're paying Trevor Lawrence right now. And we got to see how the season goes.
Right.
Lawrence is mid. Like I don't know if he's ever going to be anything more than mid. He's not the worst quarterback in the NFL. He's not close to being the best quarterback in the NFL. He's just kind of a guy. And it might take a full year in this offense, and then it might click a little bit. But there's a reason they're surrounding him with weapons. They know they're out of excuses, and they paid him a ton of money. So you give him Travis Hunter, you give, obviously he already has Brian Thomas. You focus in on ETN, who's shown that he can be a really good back in this league in the right opportunities. They need some help on the offensive line, and they need a lot of help on the defense, right? That Jacksonville defense is not overly great by any stretch. They need to find ways to get the other team off the field and give Lawrence, some drives that are not just constantly 70 yards. Like give him a couple shorties and kind of see how it goes.
Right. Binkin chiming in saying that any running back or wide receiver can pop without their quarterback going off. Certainly a possibility.
Yeah, there's a path for it.
Yep. And then thinking that the Bengals will win that 41-27. So That would be a lot of points for the Bengals for sure.
Yeah, 68.
Mm-hmm. Millie saying that Jacksonville's offense isn't good either, but it's better than Cincy's D though. Okay. Bing King saying that if the Jets and Bills play like they did in week 1, he's liking the Jets with the 6.5. So
Yeah. I can see that. I think Fields is going to scramble a little bit more than Lamar did, right? Whether it was the first game, whatever, but Fields to this point has a quicker mental clock, right? He does kind of scramble a little bit more than what Lamar does. Lamar can and gets himself out of trouble. In fact, fabulous runner. Justin Fields at times will give up the pass. Lamar Jackson, at this point in his career, has developed enough that he really wants to get the pass off and run at the last option. Fields, I think, has a faster clock in his head, so he will take off and run a bit better.
Yep,
faster. Agree. But I could see the Jets covering the 6.5. Like, stranger things will happen this weekend than the Jets covering that.
Absolutely. Bing King saying they're surprised that Jacksonville is able to keep it close and the Bengals defense is a sneaky play for a turnover touchdown. Again, goes contrarian plays. They can do wonders when it comes to DFS side of things. Bing King also asking Garrett Hall or Brees. Garrett Hall or Brees. Wow.
Wilson. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Garrett Hall or Brees Wilson.
There we go.
Brees or Garrett, huh?
Yes. Let's run it together. Half point PPR.
I'm going to lean Garrett Wilson by the slightest of margins.
Yeah.
Brees Hall's a completely different back than Derrick Henry, right? So all the 170 yards and everything else that they gave up, different types of offenses. But I think Garrett Wilson has to have a better day than Brees Hall for the Jets to keep this close.
Yeah, I like that. I would lean the Garrett Wilson side of things as well. Adrian over on YouTube was offered AJ Brown, Tyreek, and Pickens for CMC and Juwan Jennings.
I don't think I'm doing that. This Tyreek domestic abuse thing.
Allegedly,
yes. This just the news, right? That he's I don't know. One of the guys in the league I'm in has been trying to get rid of Tyreek since the moment he drafted him. Like I don't know if he fell asleep or whatever. He's been trying to get rid of, and he keeps hitting me up with trade offers. And I finally told him, I said, look, Josh Palmer for Tyreek. Like, this is the only way I'm going to take the risk. It's like, well, what about Michael Pittman? No. I can take the floor with Pittman and be just fine. I am taking all the risk with Tyreek. I'm taking the suspension risk. I'm taking the lack of cohesion with Tua. I'm taking the fact that he's old and a little bit slower. Like, all the Tyreek issues.
Offense looks bad.
I'm taking every single risk here. Like, no, you're going to get an unproven player who I do kind of like in Joshua Palmer, but you're not getting even remotely the caliber of player in return if that's what you're trying to do. So
right.
If you're hurting at receiver, I guess I understand, Adrian, why you would do that, right? It gives you a lot of options.
It's not hurting at receiver. It does post the squad here. So Adrian saying the squad is Jalen Hurts, CMC, Bucky, Justin Jefferson, McConkey, Kelsey in the flex, Brees Hall, Omarion Hampton. The bench is Dobbins, Downs, Jennings, Cup, Brian Robinson, Caleb Williams. I am not doing that deal.
I'm not making the trade. Your roster's in very good shape here to start the season. So I'm not doing that either.
Is this like a 8-person league.
Could be.
That's kind of about the way that I
Justin in the first, Bucky in the set, or CMC, like CMC and Jefferson on the same team. That's interesting.
Right. I mean, that would have had to have been like drafted right about the time that Jefferson's hamstring issue came up and CMC before he made the move up there. And you could have potentially gotten that like back end turn type of thing.
Yeah.
But
good for you. Good for you. Yeah. I like the way your starting lineup looks. So I would not make that trade.
Yeah, I agree. Binking saying hit that like button. Appreciate that, Binking. And David asking, is it over for K9 as RB1 for the Seahawks?
I don't know that it's over, but it is highly contested. The thing with Kenneth Walker is if he can stay healthy, he does provide more of a explosive opportunity to this offense than what Zach Charbonnet does. Charbonnet is going to grind you down a little bit more. Kenneth Walker has the ability to break one loose and really get up and into the secondary quickly. So I don't know that it's over. I think it might be one of those things where we thought Kenneth Walker was going to be the clear guy up until the 11th hour. They might just split carries, but I also think that this Seattle offense is one that can facilitate 2 fantasy relevant running backs.
Right.
So it may not quite be the 4th round pick that you put on him, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be like Travis Etienne was last year, where you drafted him in the 3rd or 4th or wherever it was, and then felt like you got absolutely nothing out of him.
Right. Millie saying, no, hold on to K9. You don't drop him, which, right. That was a conversation we had on the Tuesday show. So, but yeah, not looking to drop him, but if you can move off of him, you move off of him. But this is not a drop candidate for me at this point yet. Adrian saying, I don't think Brees has the higher upside. In my opinion, he's like CMC light, can catch and run. I was going back to that Brees Hall or Garrett Wilson, I think, side of things. But
and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, it was very slight. So I'm not finding it as a point of contention, right? If you think Brees has a bit more upside, play it. I mean, if he catches 5 balls out of the backfield, you're absolutely right, and maybe they will. I know Ed Oliver's not playing for the Bills this weekend, so they do lose a little bit off the pass rush, so it gives them a bit more time. Zay Flowers had a decent game, right? He had the long play down the stretch there to kind of eat some stuff up, yardage wise. So I mean, you see it on both sides, which is why I think it's so close. So if you'd rather play Brees over Garrett, I'm not gonna. You won't get an argument from me. That's fair.
All right, I like it. Adrian saying that it was a 10-person league, 7th pick in the snake. Did Justin in the first, CMC in the second, Bucky in the third. So I think that was well drafted.
That's crazy that Bucky fell that far.
Yeah.
He was getting a lot of hype. Good for you, Adrian. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Good for you.
Millie saying salute to Eckler. It was a good career. Helped win some leagues back in the day, but it's over. He thinks for him. It'd be tough, right? If those reports are.
I disagree. Yeah.
Yeah. If those reports are true, and it is an Achilles. Yeah, that is tough to come back from for running backs, especially older running backs. So. Jay saying, rate my team. It's a 14-team league. Justin Fields, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Garrett Wilson with the stack there. Calvin Ridley, Hunter at the tight end, Vikings defense, and James Conner in the flex. Thoughts on this one?
That's a really good 14-man team.
You're not kidding.
Henry, Jacobs, and Conner to anchor your running back there, like. There's nothing wrong with that. I think Calvin Ridley will continue to improve. I think they had some tougher matchups in week 1 between LA and Denver. So I think Ridley will come around for you. Hunter, I think he's going to consistently be a red zone target for Drake May there in New England. So I don't hate this at all for a 14-man team. I mean,
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So don't mind that at all. Yeah, Calvin Ridley is a 2 in that. Certainly not. I think you're sitting really good with this one, so I like it. The Smitty and guys, we're gonna get through the questions in the chat, and we're gonna call it a night after that. After the questions that are already in the chat there, the Schmitty over on YouTube, drop one, Juwan Johnson, Jonnu, or Tesla for J.K. Dobbins. For me, it's Tesla, and it's a real quick and easy.
Co-sign. Yeah, you're dropping Tesla.
I do like the reports that it's Dan Campbell's coming out saying that he's going to see more snaps and he's going to see more playing time. This is a dude that saw 4% snap share, caught one target, caught it
and
touchdown, but 4% snap share.
Yeah, and I think with Gibbs and Monty still there, like you don't want Jared Goff dropping back and throwing 35 plus times.
No.
You want it to run through Gibbs and Monty, and then if you can throw 27 times with Jared Goff, that's more than enough for St. Brown, JMO, and Laporta. Like I just don't think you're going to service 4 pass catchers in that offense.
No, I don't think so either. And yes, I'd want the J.K. Dobbins. David asking, is it worth it to hold on to Loveland? It very much depends upon your other tight end and what your options are and who you're looking to drop him for.
Yeah, cosign. It does just kind of depend on who else you have, right? So Loveland was probably the 11th or 12th tight end off the board thereabouts. So Juwan, okay.
Juwan is the other. So, I mean, unless you've got something that you really like on the waiver wire, I'm going to hold on to him and just see what happens here over the next week or two. Now, if there's something that pops on the waiver wire that you really like, sure, I'll drop him and I'll move on. But any other thoughts on that one?
Nah.
All right. And Michael, your question down there is the last one we're going to get to tonight. Armando, I have Bowers recently picked up. Fannin, Bowers might sit. Michael Mayer worth a pickup. I have Jennings, Rome, Pittman, Fannin, or Addison that it can drop. Would you keep Addison? But would want to keep Addison out of all of them.
If you already have Juwan Jennings, I'd just roll him out there if Bowers can't go, especially if you're in sleeper, right? And they do the auto subs. If your league's set up with those auto subs, that makes it really easy. But I don't know that. Oh no, it's Juwan Johnson. So Jennings. Oh, so he does need a tight end. Oh, you have Fannin.
Yeah.
Fannin or Addison. Nah, play Fannin. Like if you have to, you play Fannin. Hopefully the auto sub feature for you in this situation. I think Bowers is going to play. We should know a lot more. Sunday tomorrow probably, but most likely Sunday morning. We should know more. I expect Brock Bowers to play in this game, but if not, we're all going to have to make a couple pivots.
Right. And it is worth noting that he missed practice today, right? But to Kevin's point, we'll see another practice report come out tomorrow. And I think that'll be very telling as far as what that looks like. So, JMO or DJ Moore or Hollywood to start?
I think I'm going to lead Hollywood for the volume. I think DJ Moore might end up with the best game out of all of them, but I think Hollywood might see the most targets.
I think it's going to be around 10 targets for Hollywood. I think DJ might get 7 or 8.
Yeah,
JMO,
seven's kind of what's stuck in my head. JMO, I could see with 5 or 6.
right. And JMO's the guy. JMO's last on the list for me. And it comes down to either DJ Moore or Hollywood. I think Hollywood provides honestly, Hollywood provides the biggest floor out of it, or biggest ceiling out of any of these guys. And I think DJ Moore is probably a little bit on the safer floor side. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No, I agree with that.
Okay. David, going back to his question there, saying that Jonnu is left on the waiver. Same with the other Browns one. So either Jonnu or Njoku would be who he might drop and pick up, if not picking up Mayer or looking to start Fannin. Let's see.
Probably Jawan. I think Jonnu's going to be a little helter-skelter, right? Like they have 3 tight ends.
Yes.
And all 3 of them are going to see some
field.
run in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
Like Washington, yes, he's more of a blocking guy, but he's such a big body that if he does start to gain rapport with Rodgers, Washington could be very interesting later on. Jonnu, yeah, got the touchdown. He's the one who's most familiar with the system. Pat Freiermuth is still, he's no slouch. Like he's not an all-world tight end, but he's no slouch. So yeah, I think I would just stay out of that 3-headed tight end room and go with Jennings.
If he's needing tight end though.
Or Johnson, sorry, Juwan Johnson.
Yeah. So yeah, I would look at that. I don't mind playing a Fannin in a pinch. I think you're right. I think we'll see Bowers play, but yeah, the easiest pivot would be is if you have Mayer on the roster, Bowers doesn't go, you swap it out. You've at least got a tight end that you're going to start, and we'll see the field there. And if anybody, I honestly would be dropping. I'd probably drop Fannin at that point, right? I don't see a world in which I want to carry 3 tight ends on a roster. So, any other thoughts on that one?
Nope.
All righty. Bing King saying, okay, good old boys and chat. It was nice chatting with and engaging with all of you. Appreciate how much, appreciate the show. Y'all, much love and respect, and good luck to everyone this weekend. Appreciate those kind words. Bing King and Armando saying, appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody in the chat, tuning in, joining in, chiming in, all the questions and comments. We'll be back Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern. Kevin, any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Thanks for tuning in. Good luck this weekend. If you guys have any late or last minute roster decisions, feel free to hit us up at Good Old Boys FF on any of the socials. We will do our absolute best to get back to any and all questions, comments, whatever that come in. Other than that, enjoy a good weekend of football.
Yes, absolutely. And that's going to do it for us tonight. You can find us on all those socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Good Old Boys FF. Make sure you head over to YouTube, click that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, get those notifications for when we go live. But that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.